You got to think of your homepage as a street-facing window display in downtown New York City. Wherever the high-trafficked shoppers are, that's what you need to think of as your homepage, right? Any new promotions, new products, new bundles, new updates, everything should be messaged on the homepage. We always talk about having landing pages, and obviously you want those because when you're driving direct traffic, you want to send them to an experience that is curated based on the source of the traffic and the messaging of that traffic. However, with your homepage, you actually need to think of this as a landing page as well. It is essentially where a lot of your high intent traffic is going to be coming from organic social, anybody who sees you on TV, anybody who reads about you in the press, people who see you posted by influencers, people who might get a postcard in direct mail, or even people who saw your email come through but then didn't click on the actual link in the email.
Welcome to Limited Supply, the place for refreshingly real takes on what D2C is really like. I'm your host, Nick Sharma. Let's start talking about money. If you're a seller on Shopify, if you're a merchant on Shopify, you sell e-commerce and you use Shopify, then let me tell you about an app that you absolutely need to use. It's called AfterSell. It's the fastest growing upsell app on Shopify, and it helps you do a few different things. It helps you with post-purchase upsells. It helps you with editing your checkout and also just building an optimized cart drawer. This helps you get higher AOVs, higher UPTs, and cross-sell your products based on what your customers are shopping for. If you have someone buying a backpack on your site and you also sell luggage, you can use AfterSell to cross-sell luggage or vice versa. It's used by over 25,000 brands, including Jones Road, Hexclad, Skims, True Classic, and more. And on average, their clients see an AOV boost of up to 30%. On top of that, from your order confirmation page, you can generate revenue with AfterSell's network offers. If you want to get a demo of AfterSell, go to aftersell.com/limited. Sign up now and get AfterSell free for 60 days for limited supply listeners. Again, that's aftersell.com/limited.
All right, welcome back to Limited Supply. Today is episode 4 of season 9. We've got another solo episode today. A lot of people asked me if I could do a Q&A for the holidays. And so that's what we did today. We took questions from our Slack channel and we're just going to answer them. There's about, I think, 10 or so questions in here. I'm going to try to go as deep as possible, as always. And it seems like from last week's episode, you guys really enjoyed the tactical style or the tactical nature of the episode. So I'm going to try to do more of that, bringing more of that tactical experience. And a lot of people also liked analogies, so I'm going to try to do more analogies. A couple side notes, you're going to hear some URLs. Anytime you hear a nick.co URL, that doesn't go necessarily to my site. That's actually just a redirect. So I've got a couple resources in here around GA and TikTok library that'll be helpful for you. And let's see, what is the most exciting part of today's episode? I give you the secret at the end of how to get into these affiliate listicles for the holidays. So stick around there. A lot of people are always asking, how do you get into the Refinery 29 Christmas products you need? There's a very easy secret for that, and I'm going to tell you at the end. If you got any questions, shoot me a note. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the episode. First question comes from Dimitris. He says, what will be your approach to increasing ad spend this Q4 in the US market, given the elections are taking place? Now, it's important to remember that during any sort of election year, advertising just becomes more challenging, right? There's a lot more approvals that have to go through. There's a lot more rules that platforms are applying to make sure there's no false advertising or false political advertising happening. That said, here's my advice. I think just generally, you want to scale slowly and scale with stuff that you know that works. Really focus on warming audiences versus just going out to cold audiences with your offers. This right now, August, we're in August, it's August 12th. Honestly, from July till October, you should really, really, really just be focused on building that audience that's going to convert in Q4. I like to think of it as sort of like building up the funnel and then you flush it, right? Or think of it as like, you can think of it as a toilet if you want, but you want that buildup. You want people who are becoming aware of the brand and aware of the products and have shown signs of interest or shown that they want to buy the product or they have interest in learning more about it or trying it out. And then in Q4, when you're running the offer, whatever the offer is, that's when you can sort of flush that funnel or flush that toilet and get everybody to come through. It's very similar to, if you were to run like an anniversary sale, and let's say you run an anniversary sale. We actually just did this for one of our clients where we ran the largest anniversary sale that they've done. in terms of revenue, but more so also a discount, like a really nice discount. And everybody that was kind of in that build-up area, we sort of flushed that, lent them their highest revenue days. And I think we saw like a 22 ROAS on Meta. But of course, that only happens because we have that buildup, right? If there wasn't that buildup, if we didn't do a good job building that funnel or building that clogged toilet, then as soon as a sale hits, it wouldn't have flushed as hard, and we wouldn't have hit those ROAS numbers or set new revenue day records. Essentially, you want to make sure that there's a lot of awareness and engagement happening within the brand, right? Think about Meta and TikTok, even Google/YouTube. Like, they do a really good job going after people who they understand are showing interest either in similar products to what you're selling or directly in your brand. That's obviously a way better way to go about it. You want to also make sure you focus on ROAS, meaning increasing your UPT and AOV. UPT is units per transaction. It's a term that's primarily used around apparel brands. And AOV, of course, is average order value. So whether that's by AOV stacking, cross-selling, upselling in the cart, pre-purchase and post-purchase upsells, adding on travel size products, or whether that's by creating better welcome offers targeted toward Q3, Q4, knowing that, you're going to try to go for a higher AOV, or that is by adding gift with purchase. So, hey, if you hit this AOV, we're going to unlock a gift with purchase, or if you buy 5 things, you're going to unlock this free item. Whatever it may be, I think try to focus on also increasing, basically like building that lever on the site, not just on ad spend increase. I would also focus on building out the email and the SMS list, be a lot more aggressive with your opt-in collection on the site. I don't know if you guys, actually, I'm sure you have seen it or heard about it, but the Postscript on-site opt-in has been working really well for this period of time where we're trying to build that list going into Q4. Also, ensure from a site conversion rate standpoint, you're plugging the holes in the bucket. So actually, a bucket might be the wrong word, but think of like this long pipe, right? You have to get from point A to point B in the pipe, and the water in the pipe is your site traffic. So what you want to do is plug any holes that are sitting at the bottom of the pipe where water's starting to drip out. The best way to do that is you can run some Shopify reports. You can go to Google Analytics and run a report. If you go to nik.co/exit path, EXITPATH, it's just a redirect I set up to go to a FAQ from Google Analytics. It'll show you exactly how to create a report within GA so that you can actually see what are the pages that are causing drop-off. And then I would also recommend using heatmap.com to actually look at those pages and understand what it is that is then causing the drop-off. So obviously, going back to the original question, approach to increasing ad spend, scale slowly, scale with things you know, focus on warming up audiences, focus on email, building that email and SMS list, focus on increasing the AOV or the UPT when people transact on your site, maybe even just make a better version of an intro offer that is a higher AOV. And lastly, go to GA and figure out where your leaky points in your pipe are and try to plug those. The last thing you can do is try to focus on channels or tactics that just historically have higher engagement or lower CPMs. For example, advertorials, which we talked about last week. If you missed that episode, check it out. It's just the one before this. Or direct mail, which we'll talk about in a second. But the beauty of direct mail or even things like out of home is you don't really have those CPM hikes, right? Like Q4 Facebook gets really expensive, but you don't have that CPM hike with direct mail because the post office doesn't increase the cost of postage just because it's Q4. Hopefully that is a helpful answer. Okay, next question. Claire asks, what are your favorite hooks or creative angles for gifting ads? You can try a few things. I'm a fan of, speaking to the person you need to gift. For example, start with can't find something for mom this Christmas, or if you have a static ad, that text overlay can directly speak to, top gifts for mom or the gift mom never knew she needed, things like that, right? Like calling out exactly who it is that somebody's trying to find a gift for, because again, anytime you put content out, whether it's an ad or organic piece of content, you're trying to find what is it between what you put out and the person who's looking for it. What's the thing that's going to connect them? In this case, it might be that you're advertising something for moms and they're looking for their mom. So calling that person out is one great way to do it. You can also call out any free items or gift with purchases. So, want a free X, or did you know you can get a free frother, or did you know you can get a free DOP kit? Have you wanted to get a tote bag? Whatever it may be. You can call out the free item or the gift with purchase. And then you can also do things like, have you ever been wanting to try the Chroma reset but never pulled the trigger? And so that way it's also like it introduces something of, oh, okay, I have been wanting to try that and I haven't pulled the trigger. So let me see what this ad is all about. I would recommend checking out the ads library for TikTok and Meta to see what works best. Obviously, if you go for Meta, it's just facebook.com/ads/library, and then you type the brand name. TikTok's is a little different. You can actually find it by going to nick.co/TikTok ads. That's just a redirect that takes you directly into the ads library. You can then sort by objective. So I always go for purchase, and then you can sort by click-through rate. So you can actually just put, top 1 to 20% click-through rate ads that are leading to a purchase, and then you can see what the best hooks are. You can also narrow down the category of the ad. So if you want beauty brands, if you want apparel brands, whatever it may be. And I would just look at, see if there's patterns you recognize, or whether it's in the actual wording of the hook, or it's in the way that they describe it, or the framework of their hook. The last thing I would recommend doing, which is honestly what I would probably recommend the most, is, for me at least, when I look at TikTok, first of all, when I go on TikTok and I see posts that do well, that are promoting products, that's a huge piece of gold right there, because there aren't a lot of posts relative to all the posts that get published. There's not a lot of posts on TikTok that do well that are promoting products. They tend to actually do really bad. People tend to shit on them because nobody goes on TikTok and is excited to see an ad for a product. So when you have an ad or a TikTok shop post, meaning like it's a video that tags a product and it's promoting the product and it does well, that's a huge signal of, okay, this is something that works well. They've got a good hook. They've got a good piece of content. You should just try to mimic that. Obviously, don't rip it off. You don't want to plagiarize, but understand the framework of why does that organic post do well organically? Because especially on TikTok, if you want paid to work, you really have to nail organic. You can't expect for paid to work without either understanding organic or having a ton of people who are constantly posting organically and tagging you and sharing your products. Aritzia is a great example of that. Their own TikTok channel is trash, but everybody posts and tags Aritzia, which is why not only does the brand do well as a TikTok brand, but also their ads do well because TikTok understands who's engaging with it, who's posting, who's engaging with posts that are tagged with Aritzia, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, next question comes to us from Chip. Chip says, any thoughts on direct mail and specifically prospecting versus retargeting? Okay, going back to the CPM mentioned earlier, I am a huge fan of direct mail for Q4, as well as other channels like Out of Home or publisher direct buys. I find that channels where CPM doesn't increase tend to get sometimes more efficient in Q4. Direct mail is definitely one of them. I would recommend from a retargeting standpoint, I think to be the most efficient, it's probably worth going after your top LTV customers historically. If you're a supplement business and you've got lapsed subscribers, go after them, get them back on board, get them on the train, get them a good offer. Like one half is getting the creative out to them, the actual postcard. The other half is making sure that there is something for them to come back to or something interesting. So if you understand what that is, then build an offer for getting those people back on. From a past customer standpoint, if you're selling one-off products, I think, Chip, you actually sell apparel. So anybody who's bought in the last, call it 30 to 180 days, I'd definitely go after them, try to get them to come back and shop again. Maybe it's you get them now or in September. So it's like, you can write that narrative of stock up for Christmas or get your Christmas gifts early, whatever it may be. As far as prospecting goes, I would definitely test prospecting. We've been testing it out with Postpilot's AI product for prospecting, and it's been working better than other mail companies that we've tested it with. I think it really depends. Like from what I've heard with prospecting on direct mail, it can hit very well. It can take time to hit, but I'll keep you guys posted on the Postpilot prospecting. You can also do co-marketed direct mail as well. So for example, if it's not just you paying for the postage to go to one household, it might be you and 5 other brands that split that postage, which just makes it more efficient from a prospecting standpoint. So a couple options to try there. But yeah, definitely a fan of direct mail. I think it's also, I'm also a fan of once somebody makes a purchase, if it's over a certain AOV, then you automatically send them a handwritten postcard from the mail. Maybe it's from a customer experience member on the team, or maybe from the founder if it's a smaller brand. I think there's a lot of cool things you can do from a direct mail standpoint that is just not tested enough, honestly. In fact, if you run direct mail pretty heavily and you're listening to this, shoot me a DM. I'd love to see if there's any cool insights that you've got that we can talk about on the show or share with other people so they can benefit from it as well. Okay, next question. Justin is asking, what are you prioritizing for site optimizations? Justin, I love a good CRO question. So I'm going to break this out into a few key areas that I think are really important for websites. And if there's anything I missed, just message me. Okay, so what are the few important areas? One is homepage, one is collections page, one is your product page, one is your site navigation, one's your cart and checkout flow, and then the last one is your pop-up. So I'll go through each one. So starting with the homepage, you got to think of your homepage as a street-facing window display in downtown New York City, or Soho, or Rodeo Drive in Los Angeles, or South Congress in Austin, wherever the high-trafficked shoppers are. That's what you need to think of as your homepage, right? Any new promotions, new products, new bundles, new updates, everything should be messaged on the homepage. We always talk about having landing pages, and obviously you want those because when you're driving direct traffic, you want to send them to an experience that is curated based on the source of the traffic and the messaging of that traffic. However, with your homepage, you actually need to think of this as a landing page as well. It is essentially where a lot of your high intent traffic is going to be coming from organic social, anybody who sees you on TV, anybody who reads about you in the press, people who see you posted by influencers, people who might get a postcard in direct mail, or even people who saw your email come through but then didn't click on the actual link in the email. So your homepage, even though is not maybe the place you're sending ads to, it still needs to be treated like a landing page. And this is honestly a place where I see so many brands just get wrong. You don't think about your homepage strategically. And it's got some of the basic elements, but it makes it very hard for somebody to come there and understand everything about the brand or what they need to know or what the offers are that they should look at or, whatever it may be. So I think your homepage needs to still answer those 5 main questions. What is the product? What does the brand sell? Why should I care that this brand makes it? What benefits can I expect from becoming a customer? If I order it today, how fast does it get here? And how does the brand compare to everything else on the market? You want to make sure you're answering these questions. Going back to that red carpet example from last week when we talked about landing pages, you have to think of anybody who comes to the homepage as Kim Kardashian on a red carpet, and you as the brand are Kim's assistant. You need to make sure everything that Kim needs on that red carpet is right in front of them and easy to access, easy to understand. That's what I think about the homepage. Now going to the collections page. Collections pages tend to be a lot more impactful if you're an apparel brand or if you're a higher SKU brand, such as a Hexclad, or let's say you sell a variety of different blankets or whatever it may be. Your collections page is where people essentially go to browse different styles, different looks, different cuts, different variations. The only thing I would change to a collections page, obviously you want to make sure from a CRO standpoint, you've got everything, you've got your product title, you've got the review stars, you've got the price there. If there's any sort of badges like award-winning badges or bestseller or customer favorite, you want to add those in, right? You want to make it easy so that when somebody even looks at an assortment or a massive grid of SKUs, that they still understand where they should start or where they should maybe draw their eyes to. And those tend to be the things that are award winners or bestsellers or things of that nature. In addition, the only thing I'd really change at the top is a lot of times collections pages have no real kind of hero section or no like banner at the top or no sort of messaging at the top. I would just add that, reiterate. If there's a sale, reiterate the sale. If there's a gift with purchase, reiterate that. If there's anything you need to message around a promo, around what sets a certain collection apart from the others, use that space to message that. And then the other thing you can do if you have the resources to do it is, every few blocks or so, take one of those product slots out and just turn that into a banner. And yeah, that's pretty much all I would do on the collections page. There's not too much I would do. You want to keep it very quick, fast to load. You don't want too many things clogging up that page. And, it's really like think of a collections page as a redirect page. You want somebody to get there and understand the context, but then you want them to get out of there, meaning they go to a product page to really look at a product. Okay, now let's talk about the product page. So I think every product page today needs to be built like a landing page, especially if you're running catalog ads. Most people are running catalog ads because they tend to be more efficient to run when you run them well. And so if you're running catalog ads, people are not going to landing pages. They're coming straight to a product page, right? You may have creative that's a little bit more advanced if you're using something like a Marpipe to get better DPA creative, but as soon as they click it, they're still going to a product page. So the product page should really make, obviously you have the shop section at the top and product details, but you got to make sure you have a few other sections. So I definitely recommend adding a section for the brand story or product origin story. If you're selling protein, let's say you're Orgain, right? You're selling this plant-based protein powder. You should definitely talk about why was it created? What's the purpose of this? Where are the ingredients sourced from? What sets it apart from other protein products on the market? You want to make sure it's very easy to understand when somebody gets there and they've never heard of the brand before, what sets it apart and what makes it different. Content-wise, you want to make sure you've got lifestyle content. So don't just have product images with a white background and a product image in the middle of that square that takes up a tiny amount, right? Don't leave that room. Take advantage of that real estate. So you want lifestyle imagery. I would also recommend adding UGC. If you've got a consumable product like a protein powder or a supplement or a food product, you want to make sure you also, or even skincare and beauty, you also want to make sure you really highlight the ingredients. So what are the ingredients? Why do those ingredients exist? What benefits do those ingredients have? You want to just picture, or what I like to do is I just think of like a 4-year-old just being like, but why? Okay, but why? And then you answer again, but why? And you just got to be able to answer the but why over and over and over again so that there are no more but why questions. Comparison charts, easy piece to add. It just makes it easy for somebody to understand how it compares to another point of reference. Let's say you're selling matcha, right? You could say from a comparison standpoint, you could compare yourself to other brands. So you could say, I'm going to compare myself to brand 1, brand 2, brand 3 that all sell matcha, and you can talk about the actual product differentiators that your matcha has versus theirs. You could also compare it to another point of reference for those who may not be matcha enthusiasts or matcha drinkers. That might be, caffeine pills, it might be coffee, it might be yerba mate, whatever it may be, but you want to put comparison charts in that make it easy to understand for a new person who comes to the site and doesn't necessarily have a point of reference on your product, but can create a point of reference based on something that they already know. So comparison charts are easy. They're also just easy to understand and easy to navigate. My favorite comparison chart is one we built for a brand called Salud, tastesalud.com, tastesalud.com. If you check out the homepage, it's actually a phenomenal example of the homepage that I was talking about earlier and a great example for product pages. But that comparison chart, I don't know why, it just gets me fired up. And it's also very easy to understand. Another piece you want to make sure is on the page is social proof. Social proof can be constructed in a few different ways. Most common ways, one would be like customer reviews. So a lot of people actually tend to just put standard customer reviews, like that widget that you get from Okendo or Yapo. I would definitely recommend having that towards the bottom of the page, but I would also recommend calling out a few specific reviews and highlighting those. You want to make sure that the reviews that are highlighted actually speak to benefits. So whatever the benefits are that you're really trying to push from the beginning of the page, make sure those benefits are reiterated in those highlighted reviews. So for example, if you're talking about, jitter-free matcha, for example, or even let's just talk about, because jitter-free matcha is whatever, let's talk about matcha that doesn't taste bad, then your review might actually speak to how amazing the taste is compared to other times that somebody's had matcha, or I didn't expect this matcha to taste so good, but XYZ. So that's one part of social proof. The other one is press quotes that call out benefits. So again, if you can get that same type of a benefit-driven quote that is from a publisher, especially one that people would recognize, that's another great one to pull. And then the last one that I love pulling, especially now, is where you can embed real TikTok or Instagram videos that actually review the product. These obviously require you to be a brand that gets a lot of love on organic social, but if you have that, there really is no better social proof than a random person on TikTok who decides to film a review and put it up.
Have you ever wondered how brands like Jones Road and Hexclad are optimizing their customer journeys by increasing AOV and post-purchase upsells? Well, they all use AfterSell. AfterSell is used by over 25,000 brands and has been shown to boost your AOV by up to 30%. Not only that, but they also have a proprietary network offers feature that has generated tons of net revenue for brands like Perry Ellis, True Classic, and American Eagle. This allows you to drive sales on your own site and add additional revenue through showing ads in your post-purchase funnel. If you're interested to learn more, get a demo at aftersell.com/limited. Sign up now and get 60 days of AfterSell free for limited supply listeners. Once again, that's aftersell.com/limited.
Next part that I want to make sure gets into your product pages is FAQs. If you've heard me talk about product pages, landing pages, I'm all about reducing the number of clicks, and FAQs does exactly that, right? You don't want somebody to get to your page and then go to Google and search for it, because as soon as they go to Google, you've now likely lost that person. Or worst case, they find another brand that actually addresses the exact question that they were answering or looking for the answer of, and they're going to end up buying from that other brand. So you want to make sure you've got FAQs. You can either derive these from ad comments, from customer service messages, Instagram DMs, or just from what you hear your customers talk about or puts them on the fence. The other one, last two pieces to add to the product page, which is more so kind of you add it throughout. One is a promise and one's a guarantee. The promise is you want to make sure you've got some sort of a promise on the page. So what is it that someone's going to feel, they're going to achieve, or they're going to be able to do as a result of wearing, using, or consuming your product, right? That should be reiterated throughout the entire site, but definitely on the product page. Just thinking back to, somebody came directly to the PDP from an ad. The second one is the guarantee. What happens if somebody doesn't like the product? Is it easy for them to get a refund? Is it easy for them to make a return? What does that process look like? Just make it very easy to understand what happens if the product is not liked. This is a huge unlock for brands that target men, because, guys are always thinking, okay, what if my wife, my girlfriend, my this or that, they don't like the product and I look like an idiot? Well, it's easy to know that you can return it or get a refund. Next one is site navigation. So this one's easy. I just think of site nav as somebody walking into the store, or like a greeter at the store. It's just kind of showing them, where do you go? Where do you start? Where do you look? I definitely recommend making site navigation or redesigning it as you go into Q4. You just want to make it easy to understand. If you've got a ton of SKUs, you can shop by category, you can shop by problem, you can shop by benefit, but just make it easy to understand. If you've got a few collections, let's say you're an apparel brand, then maybe it's like shop tops, shop bottoms, shop accessories, and then shop all. So you're taking the top 3 categories and that people come for and putting it there. And the fourth square is, if you're not there for any of that, you go to shop all. That's a great scenario if, like 80% of your traffic is going to those first 3 categories. But again, you just want to make it easy for people to click around or get to the place they're trying to get to. I always think of it as like, if you're like a butler, right? If you're a butler for somebody, you just got to be proactive. You just got to make things easy for them. And that's how your site nav should be. Honestly, that's the key to CRO, is just be the butler, right? Like, make it easy for the other person to understand where they're trying to get to, what they're trying to do. And yeah, eventually it is going to totally help you at the end. Next piece for the site is cart and checkout. So if you're running a sale, make sure you reiterate the discount in that slide out cart. I definitely recommend slide out carts if you're still using an individual cart page and you're on Shopify. I think you're doing something wrong. There might be, a few examples here and there, but I think for the majority of people, you shouldn't be using your own cart page. That should be a slide out cart. I would also add the option for somebody to put their discount code into the slide out cart. And that way they can add the discount code and they can also see what the impact of the coupon code was. Side note, do you say coupon or coupon? Every time I say coupon, people laugh at me. But anyways, you want to make it easy for somebody to add that code and then see the actual discount. It's a little dopamine hit. And also people, not everybody knows what the Shopify checkout flow is. They don't know that once you click checkout, then you have the opportunity to add the coupon code. And so I would definitely recommend adding that before. Again, it's just going back to the butler state of mind, right? If my client, I don't know, my boss wants to use a discount, how do I make sure I collect that up front so they feel confident about that before we get to the checkout? The last piece is the pop-up. If you've got a pop-up running, which you absolutely should, then make sure that the messaging on the pop-up matches the discount that you're running on the site or the promotion. We definitely see a higher opt-in rate when you match the pop-up discount to the actual sale. The worst thing you can do is have somebody come in on an ad or an email that says that there's some sale going on, even if they come direct to the site from organic, and then they see the pop-up and the pop-up shows a completely different discount. They're going to be super confused and not really sure what's going on. So just make sure that that is all cohesive. And again, reiterating that butler-like thinking and experience. That's everything on the website that I would change. Obviously, look for leaky holes in the pipe and just try to fix those as you can. Last thing I would say too is in the checkout, if you don't already have checkout blocks that reiterate social proof and benefits and shipping times and things like that, you should definitely do that. Also reminds me of one last trick is your shipping names. I would definitely, I'm a huge fan of writing like just naming, instead of just, standard shipping in parentheses 5 to 7 days, call it VIP shipping in parentheses ships within 12 hours. Or instead of expedited shipping, you can call it, whatever it may be, ships within 12 hours, delivered in 2 days. But just kind of like adding that is more real estate. And so why not just add some copy there that sort of reinforces somebody to want to make that purchase or make sure that they feel good about the purchase they're about to make. Okay. Rajesh asks, how do you build a successful offer? What do you think are the core characteristics and elements of a good and successful offer? How do you validate it and how do you scale it? Well, it's very dependent on the type of brand you have. Typically, I think of the TRACE framework. That is technology, reporting, audience, creative, and experience. Technology is all the tech you use to run the experiment. Reporting is everything you look at to understand whether something is working or not. The audience is who you're going after. The creative is what people see before they click. And the experience is once they click and they get to your site. What does that site experience look like? Generally, a good offer depends on what you're selling, but typically good traits are there's a specific angle that correlates to the product you're selling and the problem you're solving. So if you remember from last week, we talked all about how do you develop an angle, what is an angle, how do you leverage an angle. You want to make sure that this offer also incorporates an easy way for somebody to sample the product. So 2 easy levers there. One is a good discount that makes it a no-brainer for somebody to try. In fact, in beverage, we call this cans in hands. You just want to get people to try the product because you know that they're going to come back if they like it. Another lever outside of discounts is cash back. So instead of selling dollars off on your first purchase on the gross amount, you get cash back, which is towards the second purchase and really focuses on the net amount. It's a great lever. You can do that with fondue. Third one is having a variety of products. So your offer should make it easy to sample again. So different flavors, different scents, different colors, different textures, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that you're giving somebody the opportunity to sample a variety. If you're a cleaning brand and you're selling a welcome kit, that means having your floor cleaning, your glass cleaning, your counter cleaning, your wood cleaning products in a bundle versus just trying to sell individual ones. You want to also make sure that there's enough for the intended audience to sample. This is something I learned when I was at Hint. We would sell Hint water, and what we realized was that we weren't necessarily selling to one person. We weren't selling to the person who placed the order on the site. That was almost like just the messenger. What we're really selling to is the whole family. So when the product arrives at home, we got to make sure that everybody in the family loves it and they have a flavor that they personally, the kids have a flavor they like, mom and dad have a flavor they like. So you want to make sure that there's enough for the intended audience to sample. That's what I mean by that. Another change we made when we did that was we went from selling 1 case of 12 bottles to 3 cases. That way everybody could try, a couple different flavors and a couple bottles of each to really just understand which one they like. So I would definitely think about that. Last 2, one is easy to understand landing page and what you get with your offer. And then the other one is social proof that relates back to that offer. If you want, you can go check out nick.co/everydaydose. That's a great example of a offer-focused landing page. It's got all the elements I've talked about so far. Okay, next question is from Meg. She asks, are we going to see 1 to 2 month long sales again this year as opposed to the week-long sales? Listen, Meg, as much as I want to try to isolate the holidays into even a 4 or 5 week period, it's impossible. Costco's already selling Halloween products aggressively from what I saw this past weekend. Google is calling holidays September 1st till the end of the year. And generally, as much as I am not a huge fan of running sales super early, you have to think about wallet share. So, we always talk about market share and how much market share you have, but you also need to think about wallet share. And I'll try to do some research on what this number is, but let's assume somebody sets aside $500 to spend during the holidays on sales, on gifts, whatever it is. If you're waiting too late in order to launch your sales or get people notified of what you're going to sell, you're not going to get that wallet share. And unfortunately, there's not much you can do about it. You could definitely mention to your audience or to your people that, hey, we've got a big sale coming up, or, make sure you hold your wallets or whatever it is, because we do have something coming up. But reality is most people are not going to wait. They're going to buy the things that they see have good deals. And people respond quickly to deals. So I wouldn't wait too long if you've got something that you're trying to push offer-wise. You want to just be cognizant of who your customer is, what their wallet share looks like, and if you think they're going to have money to spend when it comes to the time that you're putting the offer out. Otherwise, move it up a little bit. There's no shame in running an offer a little early. There used to be like some stigma around, running an offer early, and that cheapens the brand. I don't think that's true at all. I think a lot of that's bullshit. And I think if anything, you're doing yourself a disservice by not launching on time. And on time means when other people are launching and consumers are now in the mood to shop, right? You want to try to get that as soon as you can, which is why it's also so important to make sure that right now you're using this time to sort of build that funnel so you can flush it starting, maybe mid-September. Next question comes from Cool Jeep. He asks, if you plan on having an offer starting early, example, November 1st, which I think is going to be too late, do you keep the same offer throughout, or do you have a special offer for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, i.e. 20% off November 1st and 30% off for Black Friday, assuming you cannot have a special bundle or product option just for Black Friday? Well, this really depends on the resources you have at your disposal. If you've got the creative resources, you've got designers, video editors, et cetera, to help you create all of these offers, then I'm definitely a fan of running more variety of offers. I think as many as you can pack in. See, the thing is very similar to a product launch. Every time you put out an offer, it gives you permission to email your audience, to post on social, to run ads for it. It just gives you the permission and the opportunity to make another mini splash or tell people about the brand or put the message out there that you have an offer. So personally, I'm a fan of changing offers as much as possible. I would probably have something for September, for October. I'd probably have something for Halloween. I'd probably have something for early November. Then I'd have something for the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. I'd have something different for Friday. Saturday is Small Business Saturday. I'd probably do something different Saturday and Sunday. Cyber Week, I'd probably do a tiered discount style offer. Those tend to do the best. And then, same thing for Christmas. You could do 12 days of Christmas. You could do 24 days of Christmas. Depending on the resources you have, you should definitely try to maximize as much as you can. That's also why this period from now until October is so valuable. You can use this time to put everything together. I also would recommend, as soon as you get some of the assets made, or you've got, let's say you get all of your ads ready and your landing pages ready, I would recommend starting to upload this into Meta or whatever your ad platform is as soon as possible, because especially this time of year, and it's an election year, things not only take longer to be approved, but also they might get rejected and you might have to appeal, and then it gets approved after. So all that said, TLDR, depending on your resources and of course the ops, logistics side of things, I would try to put as many offers as possible, play around with categories you need to move product for, play around with gift with purchase, play around with cashback offers, play around with gift card offers, play around with the opportunity to take another brand that is also selling to your audience and maybe sample their product as a gift with purchase. Whatever it may be, there's so much opportunity for making different sales. I would definitely try to do that versus just keeping something stale. It also gives you, again, the permission to go out and speak about the brand and talk about the discount and why people should come to your store. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. So last question is from Annalise. Annalise asks, or she said, would love a tactical holiday affiliate playbook. I noticed a lot of creators put together shopping guides and wish lists last year. I imagine those drive a lot of purchase decisions. Annalise, I'm going to actually take this as an action item and put together a newsletter around how to think about affiliate for Q4. The short answer is holiday affiliate is massive. It's honestly the biggest time of the year for publishers to make their money. Throughout the year, they pretty much make a lot of their money, definitely on affiliate, but also on the programmatic advertising side. In Q4, they make a nice chunk of revenue from affiliate, not only because of all the offers that are coming out, but also because places like Amazon, if they write about a product and, let's say they link to a Hexclad pan with Amazon, they actually get a percentage of the entire cart value, not just the one product that somebody added as a result of clicking the link. That said, with publishers, I definitely recommend reaching out directly. So reach out to the editors. You could either have an intern or a virtual assistant, or if it's just you, do it yourself. Just go to Google and find, you can go to Insider Picks, you can go to BuzzFeed Shopping, you can go to Refinery29, go to all the publishers and try to make a list, a massive spreadsheet of all these editors, their name, their title, their email, the place they work at, and I would start reaching out directly. Reach out as the founder, reach out as the marketing lead, reach out as your PR contact, whatever it may be. Your PR, if you have a PR agency or a PR consultant, they likely actually already have these affiliate contacts at the publishers, so have them reach out. From a setup standpoint, make sure that you've got an affiliate program set up. You're going to want to make sure that when they do respond and they confirm that they want to run this, that you've got a program that you can enroll them into. You also want to check out Skimlinks, S-K-I-M links, not two M's, but just one M. And Skimlinks is the platform that powers affiliate for a lot of the big publishers. So for example, if there's an editor at Pop Sugar who writes, I don't know, let's just say they're writing about cookware. When they type Hexclad pan on the side of their CMS, Skimlinks pops up the ability to just click, yeah, this is the exact pan, insert the affiliate link. So when you're set up with Skimlinks, you're automatically linked in with all of the other publishers. If you're not in Skimlinks, you should apply or reach out to them, try to get into their program. But as a fail-safe or as a backup, definitely make sure you have your own affiliate program set up already. Lastly, I would also make sure that you reach out to all of the influencers and content creators that you work with, give them individual links and coupon codes. You can give them an inflated affiliate fee as well to incentivize them to post. That could either be a percentage of the sales they drive or a bounty per customer that they drive or an order that they generate. One other trick you could do is, and this kind of goes a little bit off of the advertorial episode last week, but whether it's in an advertorial or whether you do this on your own website, or you could even do this within an email itself, but you can actually create your own holiday guide. So if you're a brand like Cadence and you sell these beautiful travel capsules and you want to just get, you just need another excuse to send content out to your audience, like Cadence could put together their own holiday gift guide that might include other brands within the realm, whether it's Crown Affair or Jolie or whatever it is. But why not put up your own version of a gift guide and drive some traffic there and see how it converts? I bet if you put up an article on your own site and you've got really beautiful layout of, 9 products or 17 products that your customers would love, and you drove some traffic there, it might actually do pretty well from an efficiency standpoint. That's all of the questions that we have time for today. If you have anything that's outstanding question-wise, shoot me a note. n@sharma.com is my email. Big shout out to everybody who sent me emails after the last episode, or just ask me on the Limited Supply Slack channel. And I'm going to try to take anything that I missed here and put it into either a following episode where I break down what we're doing for Black Friday, like what are we doing from September to October, October to November, November to the week of Black Friday, the week of Black Friday, that weekend, the Cyber Monday after, and then everything leading up to Christmas, then Boxing Day, then New Year's, then the Wellness Super Bowl, which starts January 1st. So I'm going to put that together and probably put that in an email this coming Sunday. So if you're not subscribed, nick.co/email. Yeah, and then if that gets good engagement, maybe we'll talk about it more on the pod. If there's a bunch of questions that come back that I didn't answer, then we'll make a second episode here. But really want to make sure that from a holiday and content and offer standpoint that everybody here feels comfortable and doesn't have any outstanding questions, this is the time of the year for us to absolutely dominate. And I want to make sure you've got all the tools for that. All right, well, that's all we've got for today. Again, hit me on Twitter, hit me on email if there's anything else, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next time to cut through the noise on CPG, retail, and e-commerce. If you enjoyed this episode, why not share it with a friend? And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss the next one.